Hey, welcome to this video, and in this video we are going to talk about why most businesses are solving the wrong AI problem. And end of this video you will learn that why in spite billions invested, lots of pilots, productivity tools, some of the big companies are actually seeing little transformation, and how as a small business you can avoid that, and what is the hidden difference between exactly there are two types of AI work. One is AI for work and AI for running business, and why you should know this difference, and how to actually build AI solution differently for this. And again, the problem isn't AI, it is actually choosing a wrong problem to solve, and most business don't know this, and that is why many of the AI projects are failing. And this video, end of this video, if you watch this, you will not make the same mistake. So let's dive in. My name is Prashantji, and I am here to help you make the AI adoption simple. If you're watching this on YouTube or any other channels, then do subscribe to channels to get more updates of similar videos. And again, watch till the end, as you will have some surprise for you. So let's dive in. Now, one of the key thing here is most people start with a what I call as a wrong question. What is that? The wrong question is, where can we use AI? Now, that's not a right question to start with. Instead, the correct question or the right question is, which business decisions matter most? Now, if you know which business decision matter most, then technology like AI can be actually applied very effectively. Instead, if we just go with where can we use AI, most likely you will end up using AI where you don't have a real problem, so you don't have a bottleneck. So you got to go where your business has a bottleneck and try to find how can I build AI solution around that. That's the whole premise. But now, having said that, where is generally the business decisions have a problems. Now, here is where you got to look at the business in a different way. Most people think that AI can be applied across the business in the same way. No, there are actually you're running two businesses. In a single business, if you really see, there are two kinds of operations are happening. One is external facing or the customer facing. Now here it's all about maybe your consulting, your product delivery, sales, design, all these things where customer is evaluating the output of your thing. So you may do the sales and then you have to deliver to customer. So anything customer facing, that's a customer facing. Customer is evaluating your output, and anything around that becomes a customer facing work, which is a delivery. But then there is another part. To achieve that customer, you have to run also internally the business, which is internal operations, right? This is all involves the planning, finance, scheduling, resource allocation, forecasting, a lot of other things where internal to the business. Now, these things sometimes don't matter to customer, but again, if you do something wrong here, finally customer delivery will be bad. But end of the day, customers don't care about how you do this. Now, what kind of AI, whether you use AI or whether you don't use AI, it doesn't matter to customers. So every organization, end of the day, it operates in two distinct domains. Now, depending on your role, you may be operating in one of these domains, right? Now let's go to this. Now this is where, as I said, management AI, which is internal to business, right? Here the key goal is you got to improve your own team productivity, the output of employees. So employees doing right now some work, use AI, better output. Maybe it can be a research, maybe how to improve a profit margin, coding, staffing, design, analysis. These are all lots of work companies are doing, employees are doing, and where it is hidden from customer. But the thing is, the goal is to do it faster, do it improve more productivity at a less cost. And there are lots of AI projects that's where spread out here, right? How to create more content, how to create how to develop code, or how to build some applications. There are a lot of things around here. But then the delivery AI, now this is where you are delivering to customers. Now here the key goal is slightly different, which is optimizing decision making of business. Now you've got a lot of data from customer, you've got a lot of market data from that. You need to know a lot more context and then create a decision and then use AI. So it can be a customer requirements, it can be sending a proposals, it can be negotiations, or after the sale delivery of the products to customer and the customer service, all these things here, the goal is to improve business decisions and the customer delight. Now, how do you use AI here is much different from the how do you use AI in the first case, what we called as a management, this thing. Now, why you need different AI? The single AI, if you use, that's not going to work, because in the delivery AI, if you really see, you've got to be a little creative. There is a lot more flexible exists, but it's a very probabilistic, right? Every customer has a different kind of requirement. There is no guarantee that whether AI solves your problem, customer may be happy or customer may like this. So there is a total, what I would say, the kind of AI expertise is required here, or AI quality of output is much different here, and human validation is very much important, because you don't want to deliver something to customer which something basically goes wrong, because you may end up losing a project itself. Whereas on the management AI, the work. These are all processes, internal processes. You already have it working. It is just that you want to do it more faster. So there is a deterministic, right? So there is a lot more rule-based. You already have developed some workflows. Maybe you have not mapped it, but you know exactly what kind of output you require. What is the accuracies? You already have system execute. So you just have to build an AI which can do it better than what you are currently doing, and you need to have a certain goals, whether to improve productivity or whether to improve quality faster, like that. But here's the key thing, whether you do with AI on the customer or the delivery on the management, there is what we call as a verification tax. What is verification tax? When any AI gives you an output, maybe it saves it 5 minutes. Manager, if you have to verify that, then if the verification takes a long time, you lose in productivity. So, for example, AI creates a report, manager verifies, which takes 20 minutes, net loss in productivity is, so AI saved 5 minutes verification. So this is where when you're sending anything to customer, you got to be very careful. If it takes a lot more verification, then basically your AI output is not matching. But so why AI projects fail? This is where you use AI tool, you use a pilot, you use a specific, try to apply to department, and then the scaling stopped, because that business you had a lack of proper data or a disconnected system, no workflow design, because you're trying to use AI without knowing whether it's a delivery or whether it's a management. You don't know. You try to map into existing workflows, the AI tools, and they are basically, it cannot be used for other projects, and the pilot, it stops. So the workflow designs, you're trying to fit the AI into existing workflows. But instead, the real shift what businesses are doing right now is that old workflow and then try to fit in AI. That's not the way. Instead, look from the AI and redesign a workflow. That means you got to whole AI first, means you got to redesign the whole workflow. For example, one of the workflow may be lead generation is a workflow. Right now, your lead generation may be you have an inside sales team who are trying to build a database and then trying to call up people and then schedule a meeting through email, their LinkedIn. Now that's an old workflow, and trying to fit an AI into each of that might give you some small faster, but that's not the way top companies are doing. They're completely redesigning the workflow. They make the AI first, they figure out where all AI can do the best job, and then human, they insert that in some of the gaps where AI cannot do the job. So what is that missing? That's where what we say is that when it comes to business building, AI can answer, but most businesses are missing the decision intelligence. What kind of project should we use? Where should I use AI? Where should I use human? And where should AI lead and human follow, or human validates? And where should human take the role? And where the AI becomes just a backseat or assistance kind of thing. This is where what we call as a decision intelligence becoming. Now, what is this decision intelligence? Decision intelligence means that you are not just arriving at random decision. You are mapping all your business data. you are capturing the context depending on what kind of business it is, whether it's a management or whether it's a customer facing, and then arriving at certain decisions using the data and context, and then action, right action, then again trying to learn from that whether action, and then try to focus on improving the decisions. It is not just dashboards, it is basically actions and learning from that. And I'm going to show you exactly how this decision dashboard works, and I'm going to show you for a small business founder or a CXOs how this decision intelligence makes a big difference on this. So what is the DecisionOS framework? Basically, depending on the business you're running, you want to make sure that you have enough data. So even if you have a small part of data, maybe in Excel, maybe in CRM, maybe in other areas, you got to use your emails, you got to connect. Then what we do is kind of a decision graph. So we map these dependency between various data, and then we try to come up with what are the core decisions you got to make. And then decision memory, it keeps learning from the past and finally execute the tool. So let's say sales decisions, it can be somebody is asking you, give me 20% discount. That's a big project, somebody is giving a 20% discount. Now how do you make this decision? So your AI should give you a suggestion based on its own data, based on what is the exact kind of customer, what's interaction. AI will give you multiple options, and you will be able to figure out what is the best solution to do that. And again, this becomes part of your decision, so that the next time you will be in a much better position to improvise on this. So as I said, example, sales customer asks you 15%, decision engine checks margin and capacity, recommends approval 8%, action auto email sent and learning stored, and then you're working same concept for finance, ops, everything you're going to do like this. And the future is, that's where we say the future. Earlier you have been doing chat and then get an answer. That's not going to give you best, because the chat, whatever you're asking, doesn't know your business, doesn't know your context, it doesn't know whether it's internal to your business or external to customer, it doesn't know whether it's a probabilistic or a deterministic, rule-based. All these things your chat doesn't know. No AI knows that. Whereas your own decision engine knows your context, and based on that you come with decisions, actions, and then learning. All becomes part of an operating system, we say. So, and that's where companies won't perform because they use more of AI. Instead, they outperform because they make better decisions. And the future belongs to organizations that actually build this kind of decision intelligence, not just AI. And if